Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the One Conscious Love Network. I'm here with Julie. It's a pleasure to have you, Julie. Please tell everyone a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Melanie, and hello, everyone. So I'm Julie Busuttil, and it's a big question to say, who are you and what do you do? Because I do many things, I think, like most people. So I'm an Australian, as you could probably tell by my accent. But I'm going to tell you what I love, what I really love doing, and I'm an author, so I write children's books and wrote four and published four by now. But really now starting to morph into more like screenplays. Like I just love being in that creative space. And really it's freeing, right? Because we've all got imagination. And I really feel one of my passions ultimately of what I'd love to create, and then I'll tell you what I'm doing now, but what I would love to create is really bringing that magic and wonder back into young adults and children's lives, because as we get older we seem to lose that sense of magic, that sense of awe, and it just becomes all like overwhelming and too hard for people. And I want to sort of break that cycle essentially, because I honestly believe that everyone has their own gifts, talents, and abilities, and really they just got to remember it's not about you know um learning to fix yourself or anything like that, because we are actually whole and complete as we are, as pure spirit. So which sort of leads me into what I do. um I'm a mum. I have twins that are 9 years old, and I have a 16-year-old, all boys, and I also have a beautiful 24-year-old stepdaughter. So we're a busy life. We have busy family. I'm also actually, I've spent about a good part of 20 years of my life in government. So I have a government job as well. That's more around leadership and organizational management, managing staff, and really working in like program space. So I do a lot of program management as well. Um, but I'm also a medium and an intuitive medium. So I'm not sure if you know what that is, but for those who don't know what that means, a medium is essentially the medium between this life and the life beyond this life. So I help reconnect loved ones with their loved ones who have departed. And it's interesting because I was only on a call yesterday with somebody reconnecting with their loved ones, and it's interesting who comes through. So I really love that piece of work because it's not actually work. It's, for me, it's about reconnection. And so I'm founder of BU or BU headquarters, and it is all about you, right? So our focus is providing connection, reconnection in the mediumship space, but also the intuitive connection about reconnecting with yourself. Because I think quite often people who might struggle a little bit in life or find it hard to know what their purpose is or their true nature, sometimes they just need to come along for an intuitive reading and actually listen to, or remember rather, who they are at a soul level, right? I mean, I believe, obviously, I do believe in life after death. As I said, I'm a medium. But it's even more than that. It's about the eternal soul. So whether people believe in past lives or not doesn't really matter. But I really believe that we are eternal souls. So even though when we leave this physical form, we continue to live on in some way, shape, or form. Um, I could keep going on, but I'm also a natural success coach. So, if for those who don't know, the Natural Success Academy, I strongly suggest that you look that up. That's the work of William Whitecloud, which, to be honest, being in the intuitive mediumship space for 25 years, I've studied a lot of modalities. I've studied a lot of healing modalities, energy work, all of that sort of thing. But really, when I came into William's work about 4 years ago, is when I really stepped into the truth of who I am: a powerful creator, We are all creators. We are all intuitive. We all have the ability to create a thriving life for ourselves. And so that has sort of embarked, I suppose, sparked a passion in me to help others realize that within themselves. I'm just going to take a break and have a breath.
Oh, that's all so beautiful. I feel like I want to expand on everything. So, can you tell us a little bit more about your writing process? How do you go about writing, and how do you create that connection for the readers between themselves and their empowered soul?
Yeah. Okay, so the way I write, I'm probably a bit unconventional because, as I said, until I came into William's work and realized that I wanted to write, before that, I would not have even thought twice about writing. I actually personally don't like reading a lot. I'm happy to listen to audiobooks and, and learn that way. But what I found was writing was a beautiful way of expressing and moving all those thoughts, and can be quite healing as well. And I'll talk about one particular book that I've written recently around that. But yeah, my process is really just making a powerful intention, because I believe intention is everything. And my intention is to write from the heart, to write whatever comes through. It's called the madman phase, where you just write. You don't care about whether you've left a T uncrossed or a dot undotted, so to speak. And I just really get absorbed into that imaginative space, and I use my intuition to do that. And how I do that is it's actually getting into a place of presence. So you're not thinking about where this story is going to go. You're not thinking about how it's going to end. So when I start writing a new book, for example, I don't know how it's going to end. I don't even know what's going to happen on the next page until I start writing. And I love that way of working because it's very freeing. I do have a sort of a structure, if you like, a loose structure around things like, what's the theme of the book and who are the characters, and, what's the sort of underlying premises that I'd like to get across, those messages, key messages I'd like to get across. So in 2020, during COVID, I created a children's book character called Superconscious Dave. It's a bit of a mouthful for young children. So at that time, my children were about 5 years old. And the concept of Superconscious Dave was really about exploring the imagination. So Superconscious Dave is an alien. He comes from outer space. He has his beautiful little star car, and he likes to visit different places and spaces. And in the first book, he comes to Australia. And he's very curious and inquisitive. And in this book, we learn about the power of focus. So, so my children have ADHD. So for them, focus can be quite a hard thing at times. It's hard for all of us, really, when you're at school to stay focused for 6-7 hours straight. So I wanted to really bring these elements, these subtle elements about focus and about quietening the mind and intention. And so that's really what's coming out in that first book. And that's Superconscious Dave and the Purple Fandango. A little bit different. He's really an amazing character, and one that I've really grown to love. And I feel that there's little bits of me in all of my writing. I mean, people say, write what you know. So I'm fascinated with other beings. I'm fascinated with, the world beyond our world. So it was really easy to write. I just allowed my imagination to go with it. Just on that one. So then I went on to finish 2 other books in that series. So the second one is Superconscious Dave and the Mysterious Poo Eater, which is where Dave goes back in time. So it starts to bring in that element of, we've had lives before. And so he goes back into ancient Egyptian times, which I love. Ancient Egypt, I love hieroglyphs, so I love all of that. So he goes back and he learns about Khepri, which is an Egyptian god who brings the sun Ra into the underworld at night so he can heal, and then he comes up again in the next day, right? So it's a beautiful story about the ancient Egyptian story about Khepri, but also Khepri can be closely related to the common dung beetle that we have today, how they roll poo up, right? And they actually grow their babies in there. So it was a beautiful cross, I don't know what you call it. I don't want to say cross section, but it brought two different things. Like I love ancient Egypt, I love past lives, and I love nature. So it sort of brought all those elements into that story, which is pretty cool. And in the last one, which I'm sure you will love, Superconscious Dave and the Collective Soup. And this is very much about the collective, right? The collective consciousness, and how Superconscious Dave sees that from his perspective, and that we're all connected through all time and space. We're all connected to a living conscious mind, and it starts to explore that subtly into that book. So that was probably one of my favorite ones to write, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can keep talking. I just wanted to share one more because you asked about the writing process and how I engage my readers.
Yeah.
The most recent book is Emerson in the Clouds. So Emerson it's based on a true story. So Emerson is the triplet to my twins who didn't make it. So she didn't actually take first breath, but I've developed a relationship with her being a medium in the afterlife. So together we wrote a story about her. What is she doing in the ascension plane, I call it, which is pretty much like heaven. What her role is there, how important her role is, without giving too much away. But I based all the characters on people that I know and love who are in the spirit world, or who I've come across with and left an imprint on my heart. So that one's a chapter book. So that's sort of like 8 to 10-year-old audience. But what it also does is, with this book, I also wrote like a healing journal, which is a free downloadable thing that you can get from my website. And it helps you to process grief. So everyone loses loved ones at some point in their life. I found writing about Emerson, connecting with Emerson and her spirit and what she's doing now, and being, that with my imagination, created a beautiful story about her and her yearning to reconnect with her family. So it's a great story for people who have children who may have lost a sibling or have lost someone very close to them. They can't understand, or they find it hard to understand, where are they now, and how do they go through that grief. So that journal is a step-by-step way of how you might be able to write a story about your loved one who's passed. So writing is very therapeutic and healing and processing.
So yeah, that's so beautiful. My goodness, I love that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is very therapeutic to write. That is something that I keep saying. And then I feel it's even more therapeutic when people read it. Like you have a double kind of therapy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was recently interviewed from PR from the Heart, which is, I believe, in the United States. And you'll find out more around the whole story and the background. And that was a really good interview that people might want to listen to. But it does go deeper into, grief and loss, and how crippling that can be, and how debilitating that can be, and how families or parents rather, tend to not talk about it with their children, or don't know how to broach the subject. Whereas Emerson is a very well-known name in our household. The twins talk about her all the time. we talk about her. So she's very much alive, just not physically present.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that. And so much more a healthier way to look at death and
Absolutely.
passing and then the next lives, right? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's beautiful. Can you expand a little bit on the type of medium work that you do and how people connect with you in
Yeah.
this field?
Yeah. So mediumship is it's interesting. I came into mediumship when I was about 18 years old because I lost my father when I was 11. So, and I had no grandparents at that time either, and I lost a dear cousin around. So I had a lot of grief and a lot of loss growing up. I didn't know how to deal with that. And I went along to a psychic medium, which I had no idea what a psychic medium was. This is way before internet. This is way before, even
Right?
mobile phones. I think we had the big bag phones back then. But so I went along and I thought, okay, well, I'm curious. I'm curious. And I think curiosity is a really beautiful strength to have, to not just take things at face value, to just observe the obvious of things and be curious about things. So I went along and I remember as clear as day my first mediumship reading, and she had said, oh, you're going to be doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, hang on, I don't even know what it is that you're doing here right now. And she brought through my beautiful dad, who continues to be a regular, who keeps coming through and he's very much around. So that sparked my curiosity. So let's fast forward a few years, a few decades maybe after, and just continue to build that that connection, right, with the spirit world, because it's not like a dance recital where you can go and learn the dance over and over and over and over again and then just perform that dance, right? Mediumship is very fluid. It's very, you never know who's going to come and communicate. It can be I've had my long lost neighbor come through another medium to me. But she had a very special message for me that was very relevant at that time in my life. So the way people connect with me, well, usually people just find me out, but I do have a website and socials, but the way that they find me is usually through word of mouth. So I am very much an evidential medium. So it really is about the reconnection of souls. So reconnecting, say, for example, yourself with your grandmother in spirit, how you reconnect. And I'm pretty much holding space, right? So I facilitate a space where I will blend with their soul, with them, and I will get an imprint of who they are, who they were, what they're doing now, what messages they may have for you right now that's relevant to your life right now. They're very much a guiding, not just a reconnection of love, but they're very much there as a guide as well through our life. So Dad comes through a lot as a guide. Not as in, like a spirit guide. Well, I suppose he is. He's a spirit guide in a way. So I know myself how much mediumship has helped me to process, to process that initial grief, but then being able to reconnect loved ones with other people, living and, discarnate people, bringing them back together. And that can be a very healing process as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. I love
And
that.
I've also been to a lot of mediums who may not have been the right fit for me, let's say that, who may not have brought through information, who may just be really psychometrizing spirit, or anyway, I'm not in the process of so I'm not about undermining anyone else's work, but I've received all of it. I've received really great mediumship, and I've received really not so much good mediumship.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit more about this coaching method that you love and why is it so special? Why do you are so connected with it?
Yeah, it's a great question and something that I'm very passionate about. So, I'm 40 7 now. And I've spent, nearly 3 decades looking at different modalities. And I think really it was trying to quench an inner curiosity of not so much about mediumship and life thereafter. Like I knew that, like I was having real experiences with that. But it's more around reconnecting with the truth of who I am. And I came along this course. It's called Create Your Destiny, William Whitecloud. Happy to share that link. And I 100% recommend it. And the reason why, okay, so I've done a lot of modalities, like I've said. I've done Reiki. I've done a lot of energy healing work. I've done a lot of different intuitive type work. But when I came into William's work, it was like, that's what I'm looking for. So, and its big premise is that we create everything. We create our experiences. So if we can create really crappy experiences, then it stands to reason we can create really amazing experiences. And the beauty of it, it's not about fixing yourself. A lot of people, in my experience, and I was one of these people, would go and do a modality course about fixing myself. There's something wrong with me. Oh, I need to fix this, or I need to fix that, and they're all just conditions, right? Condition. We all have core beliefs. Those who are psychologists know very much about core beliefs. It's not about fixing those core beliefs. It's about acknowledging them, allowing them to exist, because you can spend all your time and money trying to fix it and you won't. It's about fixing your focus. So acknowledging what's coming up for you, where it's really coming from, the origin of it, identifying what it is, naming it, so to speak, and then shifting your focus to what it is that you would actually really love to create. And through that process, I do a daily exercise, or a daily practice, if you like, which is about making choices, conscious choices. So I have, a list of conscious choices, one being healthy, one being living my true nature and purpose, and then other ones that I'm really looking to create in this world. And by anchoring into this method every day, not only am I able to see, okay, well, what's going on there how am I sabotaging myself, for one, and how I'm using my intuition to work out what's the obvious next step to create that. So I found this so empowering. I work with a lot of clients. I worked with someone earlier this morning, and to see them blossom in just 6 or 7 weeks, from coming from a place of, no self-esteem, very little love for themselves, to a place of now, getting out in the world, interviewing people, and just seeing him smile has meant so much to me. And that is transformation. That's true transformation, right? But it's a practice, like everything.
Yeah, you're enabling them to become better, right? Without fixing.
That's right.
To connect deeper. Oh,
yeah. And this coaching is, I personally don't like the word coaching, but it is coaching, right? It's not giving people the answers, but it's supporting them to come up with the answers, but we do it intuitively. So they also learn how to tap into their intuition and apply it themselves. It's a powerful method. That's why I've stuck with it.
It's amazing. It sounds wonderful. Yes, you'll have to put the links in the comments, because I want to check it out for sure.
Excellent.
Really brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
So Julie, tell us, how do you choose one conscious love every day? What does it mean for you?
I'm glad you asked that. So for me, my definition of one conscious love may be very different to your definition, may be very different to everybody else's. But for me, it's a big thing about grounding, being very grounded in the physical, because too easily you could go off with the fairies, so to speak. But for me, it's about being grounded where we are in the physical, being open to what else is out there, our intuition, that one consciousness that we can tap into easily. But also, I'm going to say self-caring. If you can't look after yourself how are you able to empower and support others on their journey? So for me, self-care is a big number one for One Conscious Love, because if I guess I see each and every one of us, you know, living in this physical plane as all aspects of that one conscious mind.
Right.
So by looking after your aspect, and imagine if everyone was looking after just their own aspect, their own self-care, being able to bring their gifts, talents, and abilities into the world. Can you imagine what kind of world we'd be living in? It'd be amazing. People aren't worried about other people's business and getting all caught up in that and trying to fix people and situations. It's just exhausting. So for me, that's what One Conscious Love is to me. And as I said, I ground, I do my daily practice, as I just mentioned, and I also self-care. It's important.
That's a beautiful answer. I love it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Anything else you'd love to share with everyone watching before we wrap up the interview?
Oh, look, I think the key, if you took nothing out of my talk today or my interview today, is that everyone has the power to create a thriving life. Everyone has the ability to tap in and apply their own intuition and to be self-directed and ultimately be self-powered, right? So not looking outside themselves all the time for the answers, because other people can only give you what their experience has been. And whilst that's powerful, don't get me wrong, that can be powerful, the answers are actually within you, and you are the powerful being that can direct your own self. And it has actually sparked me to write another book, which hopefully will be released in May, called Self-Powered. And it's very much a culmination of all my learnings over the last 40 odd years. And it's all ultimately about self.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds amazing. You'll have to tell us when the book is available. It sounds
I
wonderful.
will.
Sounds
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Julie. And everyone watching, please reach out to Julie. Obviously, you'll benefit from having her in your life. That's a guarantee.
And thank you, Melanie, for giving me the opportunity, and everybody else the opportunity. Like, Melanie is super easy to talk to people. Like, if you've got something to share, I would be contacting Melanie.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Yeah, it's just wonderful to connect with you and have this conversation. I know it's going to be lasting in my heart. So thank you so much for joining me.
Beautiful.
And thank
Thank
you
you.
everyone for watching. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.